Hello, this is Mark Holmes from Via Satellite, and we have another of our famed Thursday morning conversations. And I'm delighted to be joining me today is Aanesland, who is the CEO of an exciting new company in the space sector called ThrustMe, which we'll talk about in a little while, and some of the work that you're doing, because I know it's really fascinating. But we always start these conversations by talking a little bit about life under lockdown. So Anna, tell me a little bit, as a CEO of a new space company, what have the last few months been like for you?
So good morning, Mark, and thank you so much for having me to this Thursday morning shows. Well, during the lockdown, what I realized is that I'm much more extrovert than what I thought. And Zoom was not enough for me. So this was one of the biggest challenges for me, is to be at home, managing the team, conversations and so on from a screen. Otherwise, it was actually quite interesting to see how people reacted, and I learned much more from how human behaviors are during the lockdown. I think we learned quite a lot on that, and I think everybody started considering what is important in life. And I think this is something that we learned from, and some of the positive things that came out of it.
It's very true. We'll get onto that a little bit more, but we always like to talk like movies and music and fun stuff as well. So we've obviously all of us have been at home a little bit more. What have you been watching? Any movie recommendations, dramas? What sort of things have you been enjoying?
So the first week of lockdown, my husband and I, we were sitting down and we made ourselves a list of movies of the when the world goes under. As a person, I don't remember all these titles of the films. That's something that goes in and then goes out. But we watched all the zombie films that could ever be discovered that had something about a virus in it.
Okay. Did you watch that Netflix one, Contagion?
Yes, for example. But that lasted for a week, and then it's over with that, and it's not my type of films in the normal life. What I really like is films that are more on, for example, time travels and science fiction films and so on. That's what I like mostly.
And what's your favorite sci-fi movie? If there's one sci-fi movie you were going to get me to watch, say, Mark, you've got to watch this movie, which one would you pick?
It would be probably Inception or Momentos.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. I'll have to check them out. I must admit, I'm not a huge sci-fi watcher, so it'd be something a little bit different for me.
So this is not about science fiction. It's more about time traveling.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's really, I find them very interesting.
Excellent. And Anna, what sort of music do you like? Do you have any particular favorite artists, bands?
It's again, I don't really remember names and so on. I love Queen. Freddie Mercury is one of my heroes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, music like this I find very nice.
Excellent. Do you have any particular favorite Queen songs?
No. Or maybe I have, but I will not remember the title.
I think everywhere, there's not many people that don't like Queen, I think. So they're just one of the bands that everybody likes and stuff. So, okay, let's talk a little bit about what you're doing in the space sector, because, it's always great as an editor and as a journalist when you start to hear about new companies and doing some amazing things. So for sort of our audience that perhaps maybe this is the first time they're hearing about you and the company, tell us a little bit about what is so exciting about ThrustMe.
So ThrustMe is a company, we created it in 2017, so it's quite a young company. And so I'm a researcher as origin. I'm a physicist doing plasma physics as background. And what I realized is that all the new constellations that are coming up, they would need much better propulsion systems than what is available to them at the moment, or at that time when we created the company. So at ThrustMe, we are having a portfolio of propulsion solutions for a large spectrum of the constellations that are coming up, from very small satellites of 10 kilos up to hundreds of kilo satellites.
It sounds very exciting. I know you announced something recently with the European Space Agency.
Yeah, so actually, when you start doing a lot of innovations, what I realized is that the space industry is very geopolitical. When we started out in 2017, and even before, when I did research here in France, the technologies that we had chosen was not branded French technologies. And therefore, we struggled a lot in the beginning to get space agency funding from CNES and from ESA. They wanted to support us, but they couldn't really. And this one is a real breakthrough, because now they really start supporting our technologies and the developments that we have done. So now ESA is supporting the development of the flight model that will be launched very soon to space, and it will be the first electric propulsion system operating with iodine as propellant. And this is a huge breakthrough in the industry, because the propellant is it's a headache in the past with all the pressurized gases that you need. And with iodine, we have solved many of these issues.
So who are your natural customers for this? I mean, you're building a company, then the pandemic happens, and you've got this what we all hope and you think is a breakthrough technology. Who are the sort of the natural customers for this, and when do you think you'll be able to sign commercial deals with these technologies?
We have actually already signed commercial deals, and we are on the way to deliver to commercial customers that cannot even wait for the in-orbit demonstration to happen.
Okay.
And the reason for that is that all these constellations, they will need very high delta V maneuvers, and current systems are not able to do that. So we have very high performance systems that is really needed for constellations. When you start deploying the satellites into constellations, you want to move orbits, you want to do different phasing, and also collision avoidance at the same time. Okay.
When is sort of the timeline for the company, do you think, to be profitable? I mean, has it been delayed because of COVID, or is it still on the same, I guess, growth curve that you were expecting it to be on?
So it's that's a very good question, because we all say we have not been impacted by COVID. I think we all have been impacted by COVID. We had planned a strong growth phase in the beginning of the year. And what I realized is that it would be very difficult to recruit people during this time. So we actually reduced the number of the recruits that we wanted to do this year.
Yeah.
The impact on my team, and I think they should be extremely proud of themselves, because they have worked 2 to 3, 4 times as much as they should have to compensate for this. One of the examples that I can give, we wanted to recruit an Indian woman that educated herself from US. So she was supposed to come in May, and because of COVID and because of the Schengen lockdown, we couldn't get a visa for her. Mm-hmm. So we have been waiting, and she arrived this week. So of course this impacts. The people that you want to recruit are not available or cannot even come because of COVID.
So how many people are in the company now?
We are close to 20 people.
Okay.
And the growth phase will happen next year instead of this year. And we also, what we can see is that for customers, it has not really slowed down. We can see that some of them are delaying their decision making. Some of them are also delaying their projects. Everything is a little bit slower. But we have delivered systems during COVID time, which is quite challenging, because normally you go and visit your client when you deliver.
Yeah.
So we started inventing on how to make movies and films and screenshots of how for instructions, because we know that people don't read instruction manuals. So we started doing that instead.
And how has it been for you? I mean, personally, I mean, this is obviously a tremendously exciting project. And, you know, I mean, this year, as you said, was going to be a big year. You were going to increase the workforce and stuff. I mean, how have you, I mean, we've all had to adjust, all of us in some form to this pandemic. What's it been like for, you know, for sort of someone who is really trying to build it? I mean, I know it's 2 years in, but really trying to build a company from scratch.
So I think it's been quite interesting to see how the different reactions. I anticipated this quite early. So we have historically also worked with China in the past. Our first launch was from last year with Space Tea in November 2019. And when I spoke with the people in China, they told me to prepare. And that was already in January. So in January, when we didn't really realize what was happening, we saw it coming. So we have at ThrustMe, we have a lot of support from the government, significant support from research and industrial subventions. And typically these subventions are paid half in the beginning of the project and half in the end of the project. So you need the cash to be able to actually spend the money that you are supposed to get afterwards. And what we managed to do was to speak with the European Commission about these issues even before the lockdown and before the problems arrived. So we solved our cash issues in that way. And the European Union and the French state have been extremely supportive.
So when you were getting told this in January, when you were talking to you know your friends and customers and colleagues in China, and then you were coming back, and you getting any pushback? Well, from when you were saying, well, you know, because I think in January most people were still not. We were not seeing this until maybe mid-March, some even later than that. So were you getting any pushback at all when you were, I guess, giving a fairly grim prognosis for the rest of the year?
I think I'm quite used to go against the wind. It's part of being an entrepreneur. I think it's the reason why we want to be an entrepreneur. It's something in our DNA that says, why should I follow the stream when I can do otherwise? So I think that is one of our strengths, and that is one of the common points with most of the entrepreneurs, is that we don't follow mainstream.
Yeah. And I mean, let's go back to the technology about the propellant side of things. I have to confess, I'm not an expert on propellant. I occasionally write about it, but why do you think what you're doing is tell me why it's a game changer?
Okay, that's interesting. So let's start with electric propulsion. So electric propulsion typically use a low pressure gas, and you ionize it to accelerate ions. And that's the basic principle. So you need something that is easy to ionize and that is in low pressure. And normally you use xenon as a propellant, and xenon is a noble gas at high pressure. The problem with xenon is that it's extremely expensive because it's so rare. So if we continue using xenon as propellant, hang on, I get disturbances. So if we use xenon as a propellant, actually, if you count all the satellites that will be launched over the next decade, the xenon demand in the space industry will be 2 times as much as what can be produced on Earth.
Okay.
So that is one of the big problems. So now you have companies like SpaceX that is now using krypton, But krypton needs a huge amount of power to generate the same type of performances. So now, when we start looking into other propellants, you can have different ones. And iodine is such a game changer because it has all the same properties like xenon when it comes to the thruster itself, the type of energy that you use, and the almost the same mass and so on. But it's a solid, so it stores in solid state. And then when you put a little bit of heat to it, it sublimates directly to gas, so you don't go through the liquid phase. Okay. And therefore, when you launch it, we can ship our systems fully ready. It's already propellant integrated, and we can send it by plane. And on the launch pad, you don't need anything else than just delivering your satellite. So everything that has to do with both testing, filling, and the operations are so much better.
And I presume at a lower cost. Is that?
Yeah, it's 1/10 to 1/15 of the cost of xenon.
Wow. I mean, so is that going to mean like widespread adoption, or is there still some resistance because the way things have always been done? Or
I think we still need to do tests. Our in-orbit demonstration coming up soon is very important. We did tests already last year, so we have had the system in space for a year. And we have seen that there is no issues with the payloads. So iodine, one of the biggest problems or challenges with iodine is that it's a corrosive, it's a halogen. So you need to know your material science very well. And this is one of the challenges, is to make sure that the iodine is, or parts of the satellite that is at risk is not exposed to iodine.
Interesting. I mean, if we were having this conversation in 12 months' time and we're talking about the progress of the company, where would you, or where realistically do you expect to be in sort of maybe 12 months' time?
Well, in 2021, we enter really the market. So we are entering now. We have what we call pilot clients, where we test how it works, those that are early adopters. And these are very important to us. Yeah. And some of these pilot clients already have constellations planned. So end of next year, we are delivering to some of these main constellations.
Excellent. I mean, it sounds incredibly ambitious, and I love hearing about. I love hearing about these new companies in satellites and space, and some of the technologies that they're looking to bring. It really is the future of our industry, and it's tremendously exciting. When a company that you haven't heard of, and then all of a sudden comes in and says, "Oh, we're going to shake this part of the market up. We think we can, provide something that's, lower cost, maybe better for the environment, better for everybody and stuff." So I really do wish you and your team all the best over the next year. It sounds tremendously exciting. I am going to go back to Queen, because I'm a big Queen fan. And I don't know, did you watch the Queen Adam Lambert documentary on Netflix? Was that one of the things you watched during lockdown?
The documentary. I watched the film Queen. I find it really fantastic.
And did you watch Bohemian Rhapsody?
Yes, it's just amazing. It gives me goosebumps.
I am going to go back. I'm going to get a Queen song out of you. So I don't know.
You can't, because I'm completely.
Bohemian Rhapsody. Another one bites the dust. There's got to be one I can. You
will not. I'm completely unable. So you can give up from the start.
That's good. I mean, it's well, Anna, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you today. I mean, I was really looking forward today, because it's someone that you and I have not spoken before, so it's lovely to talk to somebody new who's got such ambitious plans for this sector. I mean, this is a sector that is that's built on innovation and creativity and very clever people solving very difficult problems. So, you know, I wish you and your team all the best over the next year. I know it's been a challenging environment. We're delighted to you know, talk with you about time travel movies, Queen and propellant. That's, like, I think a first for the Thursday morning conversation. So we wish you all the best, and we look forward to talking to you over the next year as more of your plans start to emerge. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.